live from the Coachella Valley. Time for another hour of the desert scene. Art exhibitions to modernism, music festivals to live theater, big screen, little screen, and very little screen. This is the Culture Corner with Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
And we are back on the Culture Corner, and now we're pleased to welcome Kathy Humphrey, who is the co-chair stewardship committee from Bloom in the Desert, and they've got a big event coming up. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for being here. So you've got the 12th annual Spring Fling Cabaret and Silent Auction coming up. Let's see. What's the date here? Oh, Friday, March 5th. So tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, it's going to be a great event. This is our 12th annual, and of course, the others were all in person, and this year we've had to switch to a virtual spring fling, but we have found ways to make it very fun and exciting. We have wonderful entertainment. We have David Green's Musical Theater University. We had them last year. They were fabulous kids from here in the Valley. So we will have that for entertainment. Jerome Elliott is going to be our MC. And then we have, since it is a fundraiser, we have a raffle for $500 worth of Amazon gift cards. And then we have a very fun silent auction. And these are going to be good. Members and friends of Bloom are putting together fun and lovely Easter baskets. They won't actually be like for Easter, but we're just calling them that. They're themed. Ours was, we are snowbirds. We live in Montana when we're not here. So ours is Gourmet Montana, but we have all kinds of different baskets, and people will be encouraged to bid on those starting March 1st and up through about, I believe it's 7:30 or 8 o'clock that night during the event. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we hope people will go to our website, which is bloominthedesert.org, and register. They can donate, and they can purchase raffle tickets and bid on the Easter baskets.
Excellent. And I see that you are recognizing the justice work of Keisha D, is a good friend of mine who, by the way, is going to be on the show in a couple of segments, a little bit. Yeah. She's getting this 7th Annual Community Justice Award for her work with young musicians. So tell us a little bit about the award and why you chose Keisha D.
Well, Keisha has been such a friend of Bloom, as well as just such a wonderful member of the community. And the Justice Award, Community Justice Award, was started 7 years ago, and it's to recognize people in the Valley here who may not have been recognized by other folks for agitating for peace and justice. And Keisha is a wonderful example of that. And, you know, people know her as an entertainer, a wonderful singer, but she has a foundation through the Palm Springs School District that provides money, funds for kids to get musical instruments and things that they wouldn't be able to afford otherwise for their musical education. So that is the reason that we are recognizing Keisha at this time. Now, and we are also giving out our 3rd Annual Compassion Appreciation Award, and this is going to a wonderful woman named Kathy Diamond, who has been serving lunches at, not just serving, but organizing lunch service at Well in the Desert for years. She goes over and above anything that could be expected. She has a car full of styrofoam containers and plasticware and sauces and spices to make the food a little bit better if it's not quite as good as it could be that day. And they buy all sorts of things for the homeless folks and low-income folks who come for meals there at Well. So that's another reason that we are excited is to present this award to her.
Super. And so talk a little bit about, so you, since 2005, Bloom in the Desert has been around. Tell us a little bit about your mission, the overall mission there.
Overall mission. I should probably have something in front of me to help me with this, but it's to welcome everyone who we're just really inclusive. It's a progressive, welcoming environment, and I'm a little bit at a loss for words on that. It's just a wonderful group of people with a wonderful message. Rev Kev does a fabulous job of making the Christian faith applicable to everyone.
And inclusive. That's one thing I love. Yeah, I'm reading this. We gather to worship God, witness our faith in the living of our lives, and uphold one another, united in our diversity. We're inclusive and embracing. And I think that's so important, especially right now, is to really, the inclusive aspect of it. Because not every group or even religious group is necessarily.
Absolutely. That's true. And we found Bloom 7-8 years ago, and it was just a place that we immediately felt welcomed. It was just it's a friendly, fun, extravagant welcome is extended to everyone. It's just a wonderful place with wonderful people and a wonderful message.
Yes. And so, again, so the fling is Friday, March 6th, 6:30 to 8:15, the 12th annual Spring Fling Blooming Together, 6:30 p.m. mocktail hour sign-on, silent auction bidding, and raffle ticket sales, 7 to 8:15, the program, musical theater, university. And yes, David Green does such a great job with all those really talented kids.
They're awesome.
Presentation of awards, Easter basket bidding, and raffle sales until 7:30. And so, again, suggested donations, $35, $50, $100 plus. Now you can online bidding for Easter basket starts March 1st at 1 p.m. So tell people how they can do that.
They can go to www.bloominthedesert.org, and that will direct you to the other link. I am not a very technologically advanced person, but we have got really good instructions on there that will help people get through to the places they want to be for registration, to make donations, and to bid on the Easter baskets and buy raffle tickets. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I know people are just kind of winging it and just going day by day because we don't know from one day to the next. You don't know what the COVID numbers are, what's going to be open, what's not. But what do you have other sort of online and virtual events planned over the next, say, 6-8 months?
Not that I'm aware of. This is really our big fundraiser and big community event for the year. So I'm not aware of anything else, but we do. The service is on Facebook, Bloom's Facebook page every Sunday at 10 o'clock. And then there is a Zoom sort of fellowship time afterwards, too. But all of the information is available on bloominthedesert.org, and I would love to have your listeners go there and check us out. It's a really great place to be part of. And community.
I believe the services, music is always a big part of the services, isn't it?
Oh, it is. We have fabulous musicians. It was much easier when when we were live and we could all get together. But yes, we have a great bunch of musicians that play and sing during our services. Ken Forney is our musical director, and he does a wonderful job. And we have the Bloom trio that is always there to lead the hymns on our Sunday morning virtual services. So yeah, music, flowers. We're sort of an extravagant group. My husband and I, the first time we came to Bloom, it happened to be Mardi Gras Sunday and the Chinese New Year. And So there was a brass band playing, and the Chinese dragon that was manned by about 3 people danced in, and it may have been the Blessing of the Pets Sunday also, because there were a few dogs in the chairs. Mm-hmm. So it was a pretty fabulous welcome, and we have just been so involved in it ever since. It really feels like home and a place. One of the mottos that we have is God wants you to think for yourself and live for others, and that's very important to me to be able to look at my faith and not necessarily. Well, anyway, it's important to be able to think for yourself.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think several friends, I'm a singer as well, several friends of mine, I think, have been part of some of the services. Doesn't Fleet Easton occasionally perform? And I think Keisha has, and maybe Jerome Elliott. Have they all been part of it?
Absolutely, all of them.
Yeah.
Yes, they've all been either or both on Sundays, and certainly at the Spring Fling. And I'm trying to think of some of the other... his last name is Herrera.
Oh, Charles Herrera, dear friend of mine.
Yeah.
Yes. We love Charles. Yeah. And
right.
And Dr. Sharon Stroud I believe she's. Does she do some of the services for you? I think
she does.
Yes.
I think, and then some people may know Elaine Wang Meyerhofer. She's a wonderful mezzo soprano, and she sings with us and for us sometimes. So, yeah, we've got a great bunch of people.
Excellent. So, and again, now the co-chair of the stewardship committee. What is the definition of the stewardship committee? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it's
just kind of organize things in general, basically.
Well, it's we have a stewardship campaign every year, and we're not calling it that anymore. We're calling it a generosity campaign. Okay. But it is to encourage people to pledge their support for the church monetarily, and also to tell us what unique gifts they have that they would like to provide to members of the congregation and to the church. And for instance, do they want to bring food for the after services? Do they want to read liturgy? Do they want to preach on occasion? You know, do they want to be ushers? Different things like that. But so we encourage people to make a commitment to the church so that we can plan.
Excellent. Well, Kathy Humphrey, co-chair Stewardship Committee. This sounds like such a great event. Again, it's Friday, March 5th, 6:30 to 8:15 p.m. The 12th annual Spring Fling Blooming Together. My dear friend Keisha D is getting the 7th annual Community Justice Award. Easter baskets, all kinds of fun stuff, great entertainment. Of course, Jerome Elliott is emceeing, another good friend. Thank you so much for being here. Continued success with Bloom in the Desert, and I hope you have a wonderful event. And thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Yes, and you come and join us, too, at www.bloominthedesert.org.
Fabulous. All right.
Thank you.
Kathy Humphrey. All right. Thank you. We'll be back with much more on the Culture Corner in just a moment.
The curtain rises on local and regional arts and entertainment. From music to theater, films to fine art, it's the Culture Corner. Get connected. Call 760-544-TALK. That's 760-544-8255. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. In this segment, we're going to talk about television news. The thing is, I think television is probably the most consistent entertainment venue right now, actually. Like, in terms of COVID, I think that right now it is the one venue in which it's probably succeeding more than other venues, because like cinemas, it's very hard for me to keep track of movies because I barely realize Nomadland, which is a movie I've been wanting to watch, is going to be on Hulu. And so for me, television has been the thing that I've been kind of sustaining
pretty
me.
constant. Yeah.
I want to ask you, was there a TV show that's kind of gotten you through the pandemic?
Well, I'm pretty, I'm kind of stuck in my rut. I mean, I watch MSNBC, particularly Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow I love. I watch HGTV, Property Brothers, all those, look at how great, I love those shows. Those are great. And I watch Dateline 2020, The Murder Mysteries. That's it. That's all I watch, really.
I've been watching, funny enough, I've been kind of regressing back to like shows I watched in my childhood, like Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs. And the funny thing is, I never realized Bernadette Peters had a recurring role on Animaniacs. So I was watching Bernadette Peters playing a singing cat who wants to find a home, and I was crying because it was like, because believe it or not, Bernadette Peters might be on a children's show, but she puts in so much effort. Like, it's emotional watching her.
I've always liked her. Like, loved her voice. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, another show that is surprising that I've been watching is on Disney Plus, and it's actually the most popular show in the world right now, according to Parrot Analytics, which is a data science company where they measure audience demand. And the most in-demand show right now is WandaVision.
And I don't even know that much about what that is. So tell me.
So WandaVision is a television show that takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the Marvel movies, the superhero movies.
Okay.
But that particular one is kind of experimental because in the first 3 episodes, they're tributes to sitcoms. So like it's a whole series where you don't know what's going on. All you know is that 2 of the heroes are in a sitcom out of nowhere, and you want to know why. And that's basically it. It's 2 superheroes that are in a sitcom. Just imagine like Bewitched and Dick Van Dyke, and they do everything. They black and white, 4:3 ratio, laugh tracks.
Yeah.
And it's so out of nowhere, and you're not sure what's going on. And because there's a mystery about why are these characters in a sitcom when the movies aren't sitcoms. So this mystery comes in and people want to know what's going on. So that's why I think it's the most popular show, because there's a mystery and people want to know. But I really do like the show. But again, it's one of those things where if you don't know much about the superheroes in the Marvel movies,
you're not going to get much out of it.
I don't think so. Yeah. It's one of those things where you need
context.
You need context and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, I wanted to bring up the fact that on Sex and the City, Mr. Big isn't coming back.
Why?
So I think they wanted to focus on women in their 50s. And so I think they might see Chris Noth as not being a necessary part of the series anymore. And I
can see that. Okay. Yeah.
And the fact is that I think he wants to move on too. I think him and Kim Cattrall are kind of like, we want to move on from
so
this.
So been there, done that. Yeah. Okay.
So that's honestly the reason why I see it that way. And then also Chris Harrison is going to step aside as the host of The Bachelor, because he defended a contestant who attended in their youth. Well, they weren't that much younger, like 3 years younger. This contestant went to an old South, antebellum South celebration party where they basically view Robert E. Lee as their hero. And she went to a party, and a lot of people brought it up saying, hey, maybe that's something that the interview process should have done. And someone said, and he said that, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it was what it was, it was like she was having fun. And a lot of people go to those parties. And so because his comments weren't seen as very sensitive, he's not fired. He decided to talk to ABC and say, let me take a step back and think this over. Well,
you have to give him credit for doing that, at least, I mean, he made a mistake, but at least rather than getting fired, he made that decision. So I give him some credit for that.
I agree with you on that. Like, I think that it's important well, like the Gina Carano situation, that was a situation where she was given too many chances by a company.
And she's still firing back, isn't she? I thought.
She's coming. Just a quick update on that. She is working with a conservative news outlet to make a movie, and she's very open, saying, I'm not going to be silenced. And I think the difference between the two of them is that Chris Harrison, I think because he's not as famous, can take that step back and be introspective and actually realize, okay, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to the show. And I think Disney wants to give him, because it wasn't the worst thing you can say.
Mm-hmm.
I think if anything, he wasn't given the proper context. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think people have this idea about like the antebellum South being like Gone with the Wind,
And glamorous,
glamorous and
yeah.
stuff like
Mhm.
that. But I think there's a time and place in our culture to always forgive and let people, come back maybe a little bit more aware of
As long
things.
as they take responsibility and acknowledge, hey, maybe this wasn't right, and maybe I need to educate myself. Yeah.
I agree with you
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
And I think this will be a situation where things will turn out positively, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. We're going to be back with my dear friend, Miss Keisha D, in just a bit.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Live from the desert cities of Southern California, here's Brayan and Bonnie.
And we are back on the Culture Corner. We're hoping to talk to Miss Keisha D in just a little bit. She is doing a very special show tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. at Frankie's Back Room, Frankie's Old World Italian Bakery, the Back Room in Cathedral City. He's been doing these great live streams Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Facebook live streams since May to give some local singers a place to perform. And also, there's a little charity aspect. Is a project called Project Food for musicians, and you can go to Frankie's with a gift card from Stater Brothers or any grocery store and put it in the box, and you get a free loaf of bread, and that helps out local performers, musicians who are out of work, and a lot of them have been for quite some time. She's doing a special show, Songs of Inspiration and Love, to celebrate Black History Month, and it's going to be 5 p.m. streaming live on Facebook, direct from Frankie's Back Room. Keisha D celebrating Black History Month. She is fabulous, and she's having great musicians with her. Philly Joe Littell, Malcolm Turner, and Andy Fraga on drums. And you should check this out, because Keisha is just an amazing performer, a great singer, great stage presence. She's also just a really good person. She's done a lot of good for the community. Again, she started that foundation that Kathy was just talking about with Bloom in the Desert. Keisha started a foundation in local schools to keep music going in schools, to provide instruments, et cetera, and keep the music programs going. Because, of course, when budget cuts happen, that's one of the first things to go. So Keisha's foundation is helping to keep that rolling. But she's just one of those people who is really good people. And she's a wonderful performer, but also a really good person. Looks like we don't have her. I'm hoping that we'll get Keisha in a little bit. But check her out. Again, it's tomorrow at 5. Every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every week at 5 p.m. from 5 to 5:30. There's a live Facebook live stream from Frankie's Back Room, Frankie's Old World Italian Bakery in Cathedral City, which is a fabulous place. They've got great Italian food, great desserts, great bread. And Frankie's a singer himself, and I've done a lot of shows there. He's got this great, both a front room and a back room, sort of a New York cabaret room. And he's been doing these live streams since May, again, to help local performers have a place to perform. Keeps Frankie's name out there, remind them of a great place to go for Italian food, and this great program called Project Bread for Musicians. So check it out. Tonight is Marcia Hart, 5 p.m. And tomorrow, Keisha D, Songs of Inspiration and Love, with musicians Philly Joe Littell, Malcolm Turner, and Andy Fraga. That's tomorrow at 5 p.m. Check it out. I want to get one other thing in that I promised to get in. My sweetie, Eric Frankston, who's a wonderful pianist and violinist, he is doing his Sunday Sounds. This program sponsored by the Palm Desert Library. It's my 4th year and Eric's 4th year participating in this. And normally the live performances are at the Palm Desert Community Center, but not this year. Of course, it's virtual because of COVID. So you tape your performance, and it goes up on a YouTube channel, sponsored again by the Palm Desert Library. So Eric did a program with John Stanley King and Danny Flahive. It will be showing this Sunday, 2 p.m., you go to the Palm Desert Library website, and there's a link you can click on their YouTube channel, and you can see their program, and then it'll continue for a week after that. But check that out. This Sunday, 2 p.m., Palm Desert Library website. Go to the YouTube channel, Sunday Sounds, featuring Eric Frankson, John Stanley King, and Danny Flahive. So check that out. I'll be doing one in March. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So what else you got, Brayan?
I was going to say, like, I didn't know Keisha D did was it a program for music education in schools?
She started a foundation.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Little things you don't know. I think everyone else knows that, but I don't. But.
Yeah, she's just, sometimes in life, I mean, there's a lot of great performers. I know a lot of, there's some, of course, big names, and of course, a lot of local performers here. This town is full of talent. But you don't always have the combination of really great talent, great performing skills, and really good people, and really spiritually evolved and giving and wonderful support, and being supportive of other performers. Keisha D is somebody that has both of those things. So she's a good friend, and I'm honored to call her my friend.
I was curious. Like, I've been wanting to know how music programs. How do you think they're doing in schools right now during COVID?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, it's pretty hard to have band class or chorus online. I mean, I guess they're trying to do that to a certain degree. But I know I've talked to other people. When you're doing something online, it's very difficult. Like, they've had people that have tried to put together these group choral numbers where you have all these faces on Zoom. There's like 20, but there's a delay. So coordinating the sound with a bunch of people singing, that's tough to do. You got to really finagle that technologically, I've been told.
That's what I think is an issue with schools would be like, I think that schools, because they were so unprepared for something like this, that a lot. I think there has to be some fairness when it comes to music programs. Like, if you're going to grade a student on their vocal performance, but to be honest, like, I was in band in elementary school. I used to play trumpet, and I think if I pick it up, maybe we'll see what we can do with that. But it's one of those things where I remember we weren't necessarily graded for our performance, but like the effort and the fact that we sounded at least in some ways good, or at least that if we followed the I guess the music, I don't know how to put it, but like if we followed the sheets and if we were able to play a sound correctly and all that.
So what made you decide to choose trumpet?
Honestly, I had a teacher who, I was in her class, and she had said to me, I really want you to be in the more advanced classes, but we missed out on a test. So she said, why don't you be in something like band and see if that's something you can do? Because I was interested in music for a little bit. Like, I thought, I told my professor, you play the trumpet? And she said, yeah. So she gave me her trumpet. So I have it in my closet, my trumpet. Maybe one day I'll bring it in. But
so how many years did you play?
I played for about 2 years, and then when middle school started, I wasn't able to make it into the, I guess, marching band. I wasn't sure what happened, because like I did express interest in doing it, but the middle school that I went to lost part of my transcripts or my requests, so they didn't include me. So ever since that time, I haven't really played it, and
that's too bad.
But it's one of those things where, if I remember correctly, it wasn't as difficult, and I was able to do it. I have it somewhere. I'm gonna have to, because I've been thinking about that, because I've been cleaning up my room, and I don't know, sometimes like when I clean up my room, I feel demotivated sometimes, because it's like, oh, well, I have other things to do. I have other things for school and stuff. But that's one thing I've been thinking about, is like picking up that trumpet and playing it. And I think that if I'm in a correct space, I think there might be an opportunity for me to play, not necessarily like front and center, but maybe help out like a friend who wants like a trumpet. Because I think that's like, I think it's an underrated instrument. It adds to a chorus, not a chorus, but an orchestra.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think, I know people say this all the time, but it's really true. I think it's so important. It's such a wonderful gift to give a child, to at least introduce them to music, to the possibility of playing an instrument or singing in choirs as a child, as a young person, because it really rounds out. Even if you never do it professionally, even after you get out of junior high school, you put it down, never do it again. It's just a wonderful part of your education that rounds everything out. It's a wonderful expression, music. And music, of course, there's math involved in music. There's all kinds of other things involved if you're looking at chords and that kind of thing. Music is a really wonderful discipline to introduce kids to, whether they ever do anything with it down the road or not.
You know, the funny thing is that I was actually trying to pick up the trumpet this year, so by Christmas I can do some Christmas songs for my family, because that's always something I've wanted to do, is play some Christmas music on there. Because for me, it's like I have like this sort of, I'm gonna say nostalgic, even though I'm not nostalgic for it necessarily. I have this very like glossy image of me during the holidays with someone playing an instrument, playing Christmas music. Because for me, even though I can listen to a recording of Christmas music, it hits a little differently when someone sings it or plays it in front of you.
Absolutely.
That's why I like going to choirs during the holiday season, but unfortunately, because of last year, I wasn't able to. But I think that I really do agree with you with music. I think children are often taught you have to know math, you have to know this. And I think those are important, but I don't think enough attention's brought over to like the creative side of the brain. I think that a lot of kids would succeed if their schools would encourage them to do like music. And let's say let's say they learn math and they learn a song about math. Then it's something great. You know, like one of the things that I think I brought up earlier was a show called Animaniacs. That show got a lot of like good reviews for its time because it had actual legit music and actual like people invested in it. And it actually got children invested in music for a while. So for a long time, millennials became one of the more musically conscious like generation because of shows like that. And I think that it's important to introduce kids to Broadway shows. And I always encourage kids to go to like the theater. I think the theater and music are very enriching.
Absolutely. And they've done studies that children who study music and are involved in music at a young age do better in school in general and better in life. And because it's an enriching part of I think it expands your soul and expands your imagination and your creativity, rather than just, doing, math, science, but to have that musical experience or even theater, it broadens your horizons. I think it's really helpful. Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And one thing is that I saw this report about schools during the coronavirus. And so that's why it got me thinking about the extracurricular activities, because I went back to school during COVID and I realized it's very difficult to try to get into like clubs and all that because it's just one of those things where I think the schools are so focused on the classrooms getting back together and all that. And I have a friend who is in a music class. And he said that
online or now in person? Online. Okay.
And he says that what it basically is that everyone just kind of stays quiet and someone plays the guitar and it's very limited. He said that they fill up a lot easier because they only have like 10 students per class, because they said that it's very difficult to evaluate like music in a non-classroom setting. And and the unfortunate thing is that when it comes to music, especially when you're a teacher, I think everyone prefers it that everyone evaluates it in person and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping that, and I don't know, before COVID hit, I'm not sure what the status is. I know for a while there, one of the first things to go when they cut budgets at schools is our music programs. But I know, for instance, Barry Manilow has donated a whole lot of money and instruments to schools here in the Valley, instruments in particular, to keep music alive in schools. So I don't know what the status is, how much it's been cut back. Once we go back, once COVID's gone, I don't know how many music programs are still alive in local schools. I don't know.
I think that a lot of local schools in our Valley, I think we're very lucky that a lot of schools are very encouraging of like music programs and arts programs, because Palm Springs High School, Rancho Mirage High School are the ones that are definitely encouraging of that. So I really do appreciate them putting in the effort on that. And one thing though, I would say is that I'm trying to figure out what you can cut instead, but I think when it comes to schools, unfortunately, it does seem like music would be the easy target because it's very hard to argue for it. But I don't think it should be the first thing to go. I think one of the things you should cut from school budget would be probably like, I can't think of anything, but
It's hard, I know.
It's hard because
Yeah.
like there's so many things I wouldn't cut, but
Yeah.
I think the fact is that schools should be given the opportunity to raise money.
Yeah. All right, we're going to be back in just a bit, but remember, tomorrow night, 5 p.m., Keisha D, a live stream from Frankie's Back Room, 5 p.m. on Facebook. All right, we'll be back in a moment.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Here are Bonnie and Brayan.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. I wanted to talk about a news story that I actually found interesting. It's been on the back burner, but I think this will be a good way to end the show. It's in China, voguing houses are coming out that the ballroom culture that was so prevalent in the 1980s and 1990s between black and brown LGBT communities has finally reached the East in China. And so queer millennials finally have an opportunity to strike a pose, sort of say. So for those of you like in ballroom culture, basically you compete, you have like, there's a lot of competition, but it's all fun competition. It's basically a space where primarily it's LGBT focus. It's a space where people can dance extravagantly, lip sync, model. So like there are, categories like best face. So you go up and you like touch your face. You can't see me touching my face, but you like touch your face a little bit to show off you're a model, or you like you Vogue and you move your hands around like that Madonna video, right? And so in China, a lot of major cities, because they're opening up and they've been open for a while, they have decided to start creating a space for LGBT millennials in a sense. And a lot of LGBT millennials, like there's one that was highlighted in the article. His name is Zhao Ziong. Zhao actually said in the interview that he feels very at ease with these voguers and he no longer feels the need to emulate masculinity as he often does on the outside. And he doesn't have to put on a disguise, because for him it's like when you vogue, it's an opportunity for you to kind of express yourself, because voguing is one of those dances where nobody's going to look super masculine doing it, because it has a lot of like moving your hands around and you have to have fluidity. And the sad thing is that I've always thought of dancing as something that shouldn't be labeled as masculine or feminine. Like, I think if you're having a good time, you have a good time, right?
Right, yeah.
And I think that with voguing, it gives you these opportunities to not only create a family, but to also express yourself. So for me, I'm very happy to hear about this. And one thing that's very important to state about this that I want to say before we head out or anything would be that there is a sort of conversation that Asian cultures tend to pay tribute a lot to black culture, black and brown culture. And so voguing, since it began in the black and brown communities, it seems that in China, it's another way of like paying tribute, because a lot of like rap music and chola culture is actually in Asian countries. Like, for example, in Japan, they have a whole subculture to like cholas. Cholas being a very popular subculture in the Mexican community here. So it's like, it's interesting that our communities, our subcultures are slowly reaching the East, and they're so respectful at it, and I love it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So why do you think that is? I'm fascinated by that in Japan, or that they do sort of adopt black and white. I mean, wonder why that is. What makes that happen? I think it's great, but I'm just wondering.
I think I saw this video about anime, and it was about anime, and it was basically called "Where Are the Black Folks in Anime?"
Okay.
And the guy said that a lot of exposure to black and brown communities in Asian countries predominantly come from like movies, like very like restricted ideas of like who they are. For example, like if they watch the Avengers in China, they'll see like one or two black people, but they won't see it. It's a very homogenous country. So for them, I think because of the homogeny in those countries, once they discover or find something that is specific to a black or brown subculture, they're fascinated by it.
Okay.
And I think that's really as simple as that, because it's like, if I go to Mexico right now and I brought up like there's some things like Japanese stuff, they'll go over there and be very fascinated about it. And in fact, in a lot of black and brown communities, Asian culture in itself is a fascination for a lot of those communities too. So it's a very loving relationship, and I think that that's really powerful in my opinion.
Absolutely. And so is this something that was kind of brand new there? It's just sort of started?
With voguing, they said that it was only gaining traction after 2014, but it seems like now it's gotten a lot of like notice that now it's on like in mainstream. It's reached the mainstream in the United States where they've actually talked about it, because there's a TV show called Pose, and Pose deals with ballroom culture. It's a great show. It's on Netflix, and what I like about it is that it really highlights an aspect of LGBT and New York history that a lot of people don't talk about, which is like the ballroom culture. And I think because of that, a lot of like people are thinking about bringing back the ballroom. I have a friend who actually did a ballroom, did a ball over in Los Angeles, and they invited me to come along and Vogue, but I couldn't make it because I'm not going to Los Angeles with a big crowd there.
Right
I don't
now,
think
yeah, not a good idea. Who's in Pose? Are there big names in that show?
Right now, they're starting to get big names like Angelica Ross, MJ Rodriguez. The biggest name on there was Evan Peters, and Sandra Bernhard had a role in it too. Sandra Bernhard. I'm trying to remember the name of the actor who was on Law and Order, the one that Mariska Hargitay. I'm trying to remember his name. Like
the co-star.
The co-star on
Chris Maloney.
Chris Maloney, yes, he has a role in it. James Van Der Beek had a part in it. So there's a lot of actors who had big parts in the first season, and then by season 2, they decided to give the black and brown trans actors. They gave them the bigger focus. In the first season, it was about introducing them, and in the second season, not so much. But I think Pose is a great show, and the unfortunate thing is that it became a show that got delayed because of the pandemic, because you can't have big scenes like that, and also
group scenes,
group scenes, and there's a lot of emotional scenes in that show where it involves a lot of people at close proximities, and I think that and it's a show about the AIDS crisis too, so it deals with all that stuff. So incidentally, this became a review of Pose, but I will endorse Pose. I think you should watch it, Bonnie. I think you'll really.
I have a quick question for you, and sort of see if we have an update on the story we did back when. What's happened with the Ellen situation? I'm curious. Do you know?
All I know is that Ellen DeGeneres is probably she's doing fine.
Really?
I think she's just doing fine.
Okay. All right.
The thing is that from my understanding, is that they just decided to just move on.
Kind of go past it.
And I got the impression that they kind of are starting to emphasize her DJ more. But other than that, I got the impression. I know she got sick, but I don't know. Like,
did she get COVID?
I think she got COVID.
Okay,
yes,
but she's okay.
She's doing fine, and honestly, from what I've noticed, is that for the most part, she's had guest hosts.
Okay,
she's had guest hosts on there. So. But that's what happens.
And by the way, Samantha Bee is the other thing I watch. I love Samantha Bee. She's hilarious.
That's such a funny show.
All right, thank you so much to all of our guests and great news, entertainment news. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week.